Now coming to the overview of the forebrain. So it's again very interesting, and there it is basically the largest structure that can be easily viewable, and it is basically easily observable when we are looking at the structure of the brain. You might have gone through this particular image, and this is basically emphasizing on the forebrain, or it is basically referring to the forebrain when we are looking at it. So the forebrain, apart from the two larger cerebral hemispheres that are a part of the forebrain, we have a diencephalon that is also attached to these cerebral hemispheres. And it's basically a rather hidden portion of the forebrain. So it is basically, as you can see, the highlighted reddish region that you can observe from here. And this is regarded as the diencephalon, and is basically comprising of the thalamus and the hypothalamus that we'll be referring to again and again. So this is how it looks on a sagittal section, and a posterior view that is emphasizing, or that is highlighting, the diencephalon. Now, the diencephalon that I'm referring to again and again, it's basically comprising of the hypothalamus. So as you can see, as you can review from here, again, there are two important lobes that are being attached to this particular hypothalamic region. And then we have the right thalamus, and then we have the left thalamus that are present. So we have a thalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus, they are the relay stations. And certain emotional backgrounds are also being attached to different sensations that reach the level of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. And from this thalamus and hypothalamus, there is basically a fan-shaped fiber of radiations, which is also known as corona radiata. And these are basically radiating, as the name is indicating, corona radiata, and they are basically radiating the images to different functional regions of the cerebral hemispheres as you'd be reviewing. Now, as you can see, this is a generalized structure of the thalamus that we talk about again and again, and you can even see that there are certain first of all, we divide it into main lobes. For instance, we have the anterior nuclei. Then we have a Y-shaped intermedullary region that is present over here. And then we have a medial nuclei. This internal medullary region is basically dividing the thalamus into the median zones. And then we have this whole lateral nucleus that is present. This reddish portion is basically the medial nuclei, and this whole larger yellowish region is basically referring to the lateral nucleus, and then we have the anterior nucleus. The whole subdivisions are basically due to this internal medullary region that is present, this Y-shaped region that is present over here. And then obviously the further subdivisions, for instance, we have the lateral posterior, lateral dorsal, ventral anterior, ventral lateral. These are the different nuclei that are present, and they're responsible for different integration of the sensations, because the ascending tracts are basically going to carry the information to this thalamic region, and then for further integration to the higher centers of the brain. So we'd be going through how these messages reach the thalamus, and then thereon how they reach the higher centers for further integration and coordination. And then obviously there is a descending tract as well that is related. So we'd be going through these details as well. The hypothalamus is a region which is located just inferior to the thalamus, and it is in close relation to the pituitary gland. We went through the fact that the pituitary gland is located in the pituitary fossa that is present at the base of the skull. So it is also known as the sella turcica. So this is the exact location of the pituitary gland. And when you know the exact location of the sella turcica, that means that you know that the hypothalamus is just superior to the sella turcica, or just superior to the pituitary gland. So this is the exact location, and then again it is a relay station, and it works along in coordination with the thalamus and the thalamic internuclei. The function of the hypothalamus can be remembered by these four F's. For instance, we have the feeding. For instance, the food and the water intake, that is being controlled by the hypothalamus. Then the feeling, that is the emotions that are attached to this region, the behavior, the sexual behavior, that is again being controlled by the hypothalamus. Fighting, that is the body temperature. So the basically preparing the body for the fright and the flight phenomena is again the body temperature is being controlled by the hypothalamus. The functioning, that is the biological clock that is present, and we all know that certain hormones are basically under the control of this biological clock. Circadian rhythm, which is also known as. For instance, the release of the ADH, that is an antidiuretic hormone. It's again under the control of this hypothalamus, and that is located in this particular region. So these are the major functions being performed by the hypothalamus. The different features that are associated with the cerebral hemispheres, we refer to the sulci. These are the indentations, the deep grooves that are present in between. They are known as the sulci, and then we have the gyri, which are basically referring to the ridges in between these grooving phenomena or these indentations. And obviously, they have a lot of names that are being given to these sulci, these gyri, because they have their own functions. For instance, we have the motor gyri, and we have even named or numbered them accordingly because different functions are being performed by these different gyri out there. Now, sulci are basically the lighter indentations, and then the deeper indentations are known as the fissures, or the deep grooves are known as the fissures. For instance, we have a lateral fissure, which basically divides the cerebral hemisphere into the frontal and the temporal lobe, and then we have this temporal lobe out here, and then we have the parietal and the frontal lobes out here. So there is this deep groove or the deep fissure that is present, and this is known as the lateral fissure. So all of these naming or all of these terminologies would be used again and again, and we'd be referring to the gyri and sulci. So you should be well versed with this phenomena before we start off with a deeper discussion of neuroanatomy.